What if everything you thought you knew about inclusion was wrong? What if the biggest barriers weren't policies but people? And what if one of those people was you? They say inclusion is a box you tick. I say it's a mirror you hold up. And sometimes the reflection isn't easy to look at. In season 1 of the Organisational Inclusionist, we sat in those uncomfortable spaces together. We heard stories that changed how we see leadership, equity, and each other. Season 2 is not about repeating the same conversations. It's about going deeper. It's about asking the questions polite company avoids. Pulling back the curtain, not just on the boardroom, but on the biases we carry home with us, the policies we never question, and the silences that keep us safe, but not free. This season, you'll hear voices that challenge you, moments that move you, and strategies you can actually use. And I won't pretend to have all the answers, because I'm still learning too. But I promise you this, every conversation will be honest, human, and rooted in the belief that inclusion is not a side project, it's the work. My name is Grace Masuro, and I am your host. Welcome to season 2 of the Organisational Inclusionist. For too long, silence has been survival, especially for Black women in leadership, where speaking truth can come at a cost. But what if being unmuted is the strategy we've been waiting for? What if storytelling is our superpower, not just our side note? In boardrooms, obsessed with data and performance, we forget that people don't move because of numbers, they move because of narrative. Stories shape culture, stories shift systems, and stories told by those too often overlooked can be transformational. 2, 3. Our guest today knows this well. Niya Baxter is a culture architect with a corporate backbone and a creative soul. Through her podcast, BLKGirl Ambition, she's creating unapologetic space for Black women to define success, share wisdom, and lead out loud. I was lucky enough to be a guest. Today, we're talking about what happens when we unmute, when we turn pain into podcasting, and when we turn exclusion into influence. Whether you lead people, policy, or just your own path, this conversation is for you. So welcome to today's episode of the Organisational Inclusionist. My name is Grace Masuro and I am your host. Niya, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me, Grace. Thank you for that incredible introduction and for this platform that you have created. I'm so happy that our paths cross. This is the beauty of podcasting, the beauty of being authentic and telling our stories.
Right.
So I'm excited to be here.
Yay, I'm really pleased to meet you. And it's funny as well, because I do feel like we can be quite insular. Obviously, I'm based in London in the United Kingdom. You're based in near the DC area in the States.
I am.
Our paths would never have crossed if it wasn't for the world of podcasting. So I absolutely love this.
Never.
And LinkedIn, of course. But LinkedIn is like helping us break borders. So I'm very, very happy to have you on. I love what you're doing. And today's conversation is going to be a really, really powerful and enlightening and hopefully encouraging one for many of our listeners. So before we get stuck in, I would love it if you could please introduce yourself to our listeners.
Sure. So everyone, I am Niya Baxter. I am a culture architect. I have, as Grace said, deep corporate strategy and a creative backbone and also just an authentic spirit. And I take those pieces of me and weave them through everything that I do. As a culture architect, I work in the corporate space, leading culture, experience, and belonging for a large corporation. But then in my free time, if you want to call it that, I lead BLKGirl Ambition. This is my creative brainchild that I launched nearly a year ago as a platform and space for Black women to tell our stories unmuted about our journeys throughout corporate America and as founders. So this is a platform that I describe as equal parts executive coffee chat meets sister circle meets motivational masterclass. And if any of that resonates with you, then you should come check me out on that platform where I release new episodes on Wednesdays.
Amazing. Thank you. So your work lives at the intersection of strategy, culture, and story, right? So what made you decide to launch BLKGirl Ambition, and why did podcasting feel like the right medium?
That's such a good question. So I decided to launch BLKGirl Ambition because I was tired of waiting for permission. And I was tired of people telling me, and so many Black women, what I cannot do. I have such deep admiration for Black women. Obviously, I am a Black woman. I don't know that I'm that objective. But I have deep admiration for Black women. I believe and see every day how incredibly talented we are, how driven we are, how brilliant, educated, highly ambitious, and so capable in so many ways. But I see many of us get stuck living below our potential because we're waiting for systems that were not designed for us, by the
Mm.
way, to recognize us, to celebrate us. So I think professionally that leads to us getting stuck. But I also see us living below our potential because of the people that we surround ourselves with and decide to join in community with. That can be friends, that can be family, that can be spouses. I want to see, because I love Black women so much, I want to see us live out our full God given potential in every single aspect of our lives.
Amen.
And amen, right? In terms of my personal founder story, so that's like the macro big picture why. In terms of my personal founder story, I decided to launch Black Girl Ambition after a series of very difficult professional experiences. where you tell me if any of this sounds familiar to you. On multiple occasions, I've been at companies where I have listen, I know the value that I bring. I have
Mhm.
worked circles around my peers, built a reputation that preceded me, brought the innovation, brought the corporate strategy, brought the results, known as someone who was easy to work with, and built what I thought was a strong and enviable network within the company. And then at some point, when it comes time for the recognition, I was passed over, left for professional dead, so to
Yeah.
speak. The not quite yet, not yet, not quite, almost. You're
Yeah.
almost there. You're almost ready. The goalpost was constantly moving. And at some point, I decided to take control. I decided that I would always be placated in some respect, and my life and my potential are entirely too precious and too valuable to leave them in the hands of someone else.
Mm.
And in terms of the second part of your question and why podcasting felt like the right medium, it's because it allows me to control the narrative and tell rich, complex stories. Like these are the conversations that I've always wanted to hear in a podcast format with Black women about the grit and the underbelly of the journey, the
Mm.
trade-offs, the decisions, and who we are as holistic people. I mean, professionally, but also personally too. And so podcasting seemed like a perfect platform to be able to have those rich and complex conversations and to do so in a way that felt very authentic as well.
No, I love that. And so much of what you said resonated as well. I've definitely had those experiences of, oh, you're
Mm.
not quite ready yet, or we'll get
Mhm.
there,
Mhm.
all in good time. Those kind of statements that end up leaving you behind. And you're watching people that haven't necessarily worked as hard as you progress simply because they fit into the club. And it's so frustrating. And one of the things that I talk about is actually, so what seems like a minor to the person that decided that can then have an impact on people's long-term progression in their careers, because that one choice
100%.
that you made as a decision maker could set that person behind by 5 to 10 years in their career, and subsequently impact what they're taking home, what they're able to feed their kids, what they're able to provide
Mm.
their children. So I just think really sharing stories like the one you've just shared is so, so important. And I hope that it changes what we both experienced, right?
I really hope so too. I hope so too. Too often I see Black women in organizations treated as the workhorses.
Mm.
We're the workhorses, we do the grunt work, but I want to see us in the C-suite. I want to see us in the executive leadership roles because we are executive leaders. And I want to see us recognized in that way fully in corporate America.
Same in the UK. So through your podcast, you amplify voices that are often left out of traditional narratives of success. What patterns or truths have emerged across the conversations that organizations need to hear? We've touched on one of those about Black women being the grunt horses and being overlooked, but does anything else stand out for you?
Yes. In terms of what organizations need to hear, and one consistent theme that I've heard from the incredible women that I've featured on this platform, it's that there is no one size fits all formula. There really isn't. And Black women, our experiences, our talents are definitely not a monolith. Our success is deeply personal. And for the women that I interview, it's also deeply tied to our own identity, our cultural identity, our community, our definition of self. And the women on who come on Black Girl Ambition are also navigating spaces that were not built for them in the first place, right? Let's be real. But they're still excelling and they're still innovating and they're still leading and setting the standards for what leadership and impact can look like. But I hear when I talk to Black women and think about one of the big themes that comes up, it's really organizations need to honor authenticity over assimilation in a true way, not in a mission statement, not on a piece of paper in terms of corporate values, but truly in the fabric and the breadth of an organization, honor authenticity over assimilation. And when organizations can move beyond performative diversity efforts, doing it for the gram, so to speak, and instead create cultures where difference is genuinely celebrated and there is deep psychological safety and accountability for good and bad behaviors, that is when you will see Black women excel. And that is what companies really need to do in order to tap into the potential of this talent pool and community.
Absolutely. And I think, there is always that argument that many companies know this already, but they're just not ready because they don't actually want to enable that group to rise to the levels that they're capable of rising to. And the current administration in the US is definitely dead against that as well, right? It's a tricky one at the minute, but I still hope that people know that this is a moment in time. We've had many of them. And now is also the time where you get to stand out as an organization that is authentic, that truly lives your mission and vision statement, that genuinely wants to create a future that's fit for purpose for everyone, not those it's historically benefited.
Absolutely.
What
Absolutely.
role does Black Girl Ambition play in shaping the narrative around Black women's ambition, resilience, and rest in particular? Because I think that we're tired, man.
Grace, we are so tired.
We're tired, sis.
We are so tired. And what I love about Black Girl Ambition is it takes a very multi-dimensional view of who Black women are and what ambition means to us. And I've heard of what Black women talk about ambition in such deep and personal ways that oftentimes have nothing to do with becoming a millionaire and making a whole lot of money. Although I believe that we should always get our bag and coin and make a whole lot of money. Listen, okay, we should all be millionaires. We don't have to sacrifice ourselves in that way. But what I hear primarily when I hear the Black women on my platform talk about ambition is it's deeply tied to legacy building and to freeing others and to putting in place building blocks for the next generation. Like, our ambition improves societies, it creates legacies. And I am so touched by that view of ambition within our community. And my platform, one of the things that I've really seen is how multidimensional we are. And I know this already, but it's about the grind and it's about the hard work, because we do the hard work. But there's also this balance of rest,
Mm.
like this theme of rest that has also emerged in a way that I was not expecting it to when I was first thinking of Black Girl Ambition. But you're right, Grace. Like, we're ambitious, but we are tired. We're tired. And you know what? I think we're tired. Like, we're not tired of necessarily doing the work, but we're
Mm.
tired of being unrecognized. We're
Definitely.
tired of it being taken for granted. We're tired of it not being celebrated. And we are going to direct our attention, our energy, our talent, and our creativity towards the places that are going to reap rewards and benefits for us now. Like, that's what I see as the difference.
Mm.
It's not that we're not doing anything. It's that we are contributing in a way that feels fulfilling to us personally and pouring into our own communities in a way that I think is going to be really beneficial in years to come. But that's one of the collective differences that I've seen. And I love how Black Girl Ambition kind of exists in this place of between like deep ambition and community and rest in a really holistic way.
No, I love it. So, do you see the podcast as a form of advocacy or resistance? How do you
That's a
balance
really good
honesty
question.
and safety, especially when you're talking about harm or exclusion? Because I feel like the Black woman has been afraid of so many people for so long that anyone coming on your podcast is probably carrying some of that with them. So how do you see the podcast? Is it advocacy or is it resistance? And how do you find that balance?
It's a really good question. And in reflecting on this, it's both first. Like, they're deeply intertwined. It's a place for advocacy, a space for advocacy for ourselves, a platform to showcase the beauty and brilliance that is us. But
Mm.
to exist as a Black woman in today's society itself is a form of resistance. That is resistance. Black womanhood is resistance. And so, given that I platform Black women who were excelling, deeply ambitious, those two narratives of advocacy and resistance are just deeply intertwined in the conversations that I have, the platform itself, the women that I interview. And to your point about us being scared of so much for so long, it is true. There's fear, a lot
Mm.
of fear that Black women have had, and we've had to have those fears because we've needed to protect ourselves. It's been born out of safety and self-preservation. I will say though, Grace, I've seen and none of the Black women who have come on the Black Girl Ambition platform have I sensed an iota of, I'm not going to do it because I'm scared.
Yeah.
Like, there is recognition that backlash exists. My identity is constantly under scrutiny. But is it going to change how I move? And is it going to change what I do and what I say and who I build with? Absolutely not. And I think that is the beauty in Black women. I mean, it's why we're often standing on the front lines of so many social movements. I think other people need to stand on the front
Absolutely.
lines of those social movements, right? Like, it is not our job to move this society
Absolutely.
forward alone. We show up in the humanity of who we are, in recognition that the systems were not built for us, but it's like we do it anyway. We do it anyway. And I'm inspired even reflecting on those conversations and thinking about that question with you here.
Mm. It's so interesting as well. I've got a colleague, stroke friend, stroke associate, a white man, and we were talking about my work, and he said to me, "I think you'd get more clients if you spoke more about different things. I feel like most of your content is about Black women and the Black women struggle and this, that, and the other, and I think that puts some people off." Those weren't his exact words. And
Mm-hmm.
so I did an audit because he said it to me twice on two separate occasions. So I did an
Mm-hmm.
audit of my posts over the last couple of months. And only 30% of my posts had been about Black female issues. And I was like, so clearly, even though it's only 30%, those are the ones that have really stood out to you. And there's a reason that they've really stood out to you. It's because they've done something to you. They've made you feel something. And that something might be discomfort. It might be sadness. It might be guilt that isn't really yours to carry, but you carry anyway because of, the legacy of slavery, etc. But I went back to him and said, FYI, I audited my content because what you said hurt my feelings a bit. And he apologized and everything. But I think for me, I was so scared of going back to him on the point. But I also felt like I have to, though, because if I don't go back to you on this, you're going to continue to make comments they're not based on fact. And they're then going to impact how I show up authentically with my connections on LinkedIn, with my podcast, etc., and in the work that I do overall. But what it also emphasized to me is how much the Black woman is silenced. The reason we continue to tell our stories is because people haven't been listening. So we've got to continue to talk about what we continue to experience, because we're hoping one day you're going to listen and do something about it. But also it's our form of resistance, because you might not want to listen to me, but I'm going to keep talking about it because one day you're going to listen. Right. So yeah, that's my long rant. And then the other thing that you mentioned about the fact that, Black women are at the front of so many social movements. We are always scared, but we're still always the ones.
We're still there anyway.
Right. And I see on social media all the time when there's these videos of someone being attacked or a child that's lost from their parents, and it's always a Black woman that comes and saves that child or saves that person. And the comments on there blow my mind, because I've seen a few of these, and it's usually non-Black men that say, if I'm ever in crisis, I know for a fact that if there's a Black woman around, she will be my salvation. And stuff like that is so true. And it hurts so much, right? Yeah, it hurts so much because it's like, you all know this. Like, when can we get the credit that we deserve? Is that no matter what we experience as Black women, we continue to rise, we continue to love. And I think that is so, so powerful, and what I love so much about us, right?
Yes, it's back to that, strong Black woman trope, the workhorse trope, right? Like we want to be celebrated. People know what we bring and who we are. If you're really like, some of the fringe, but I think people know.
Yeah.
But I think that Black women are taken for granted, perhaps one of the biggest groups that is just taken for granted. And I want to see us celebrated as well.
No, absolutely. What advice would you give to other women, especially Black women, who want to start telling their stories, but they're unsure of where to begin?
Oh my gosh. Okay, Grace. Where do we start? I have seen one of the biggest things that I have seen hold Black women back from telling their stories, and this is also personal because it has held me back from telling my story too, or starting this platform, is our relationship to perfection and needing to have it all right. Every single piece ticked and tied. And I understand why that is the case. I understand why we believe that perfection keeps us safe, but I would say that it's holding you back. It is holding us back collectively. And there is so much power in your story and the authenticity and rawness of that story. Like, just start, sis. Just start. And I think that I released an episode fairly recently on building a personal brand while working a 9 to 5, and the strategy behind that and business case behind that. I think everyone needs to tell their stories. Everyone needs to think about telling their stories. One, perhaps it's just to do so, but I also think for the purpose of building a personal and professional brand within your company, but outside of it as well. So I think just start, really. Take advantage of social platforms like LinkedIn to tell your story, but also use that as a tool and channel to provide thought leadership and become known for your eminence and thought leadership in a space. That is, I think, like insurance for the future, and it's an investment in yourself. So I would say just start, do some reflecting. Actually, use ChatGPT as a personal brand coach. Like, you can use it to help you do an audit across your different social platforms in terms of how you're showing up currently and where you need a potential glow up, and then finding those themes based on your expertise, your experience, where you would have some authority. And then you start there, use it as a personal brand coach, and then just get started. But I think that telling our stories it's necessary. There's going to be some discomfort, Grace. Okay. It is not comfortable necessarily, even to the people like me who do tell our stories. It's not. But I also find, so there's perfection is the first lesson, the first thing that I see, and I would tell us that we have to get over. The other is, I think that some of us are afraid of being seen, right? Like, really being seen and owning our stories in a way that is visible, because we were told as children that that's vanity.
Yeah.
And we should not be obsessed with ourselves. We should be obsessed with others, which I think is insane. So being comfortable being seen, getting comfortable being the owners of our own story, and letting go of perfection, and just start. Just start.
Just start, sis.
Just
Love
start.
it. Thank you. So if you had a mic in front of every executive, what's the story or truth that they most need to hear right now?
It's another good question. I would say to every executive listening that Black women are likely your greatest untapped talent pool. They likely are. I would say to leaders that they need to really challenge their preconceived notions about what a leader looks like, the package that leadership comes in. Because Black women leaders are qualified, highly empathetic, strategic, generate strong followership from the people within a company, known for someone who cares for others in terms of their leadership and teaming. So I would say that taking a hard look at Black women as one of your greatest untapped talent pools is what I would say to leaders. And also a call not to just elevate Black women in times of crisis. You need to, right? We saw so many in the past few years, Black women ascend to these C-suite leadership roles, but it was during times of so much corporate upheaval and crisis. But when it's normal times, normal leadership times, Grace, who's there? Who are in those leadership roles? And Black women leadership, across the C-suite has just been decimated. Like, the numbers were already small, but it's just been decimated in recent times, recent years. And so I would say that take a hard look at your Black women talent pool, how you are pouring into them, supporting them, equipping them, and not just to promote Black women in times of crisis, and to give Black women leaders the necessary tools, knowledge transfer that you would give anyone else. Equip them, right? This isn't hand holding, it's equipping, and it's doing what you would do for anyone else.
Yeah.
Ben, Tom, Jeff, Sam, whatever you were going to give them, give her. And we know that there are strong business results tied to diversity in leadership. Now, listen, I think that people's cognitive dissonance won't let them understand that. It won't let that seep into their brains, but it's a fact. It's a fact. And you'll see, the companies that get it, and they'll do better than the ones that don't.
Thank you. I think those are some really, really powerful tips for any executive listening. So what's next for Black Girl Ambition, and how can our listeners support and follow your journey?
So glad you asked this question. So first of all, I would say listen to season 2 of Black Girl Ambition. I am not sure when this episode specifically will air, but I recently wrapped season 2 of Black Girl Ambition. I interviewed incredible guests across so many different industries, but also women who are founders or balancing corporate and being founders, like they're corporate baddies and founders. But incredible conversations that I am incredibly proud of as well. So go listen to season 2. Check me out for season 3 in the September timeframe. And also rate, review, subscribe. Building something from scratch organically is incredibly difficult. Incredibly difficult. So support Grace. Support Niya, support me, support your fellow Black woman, because we need it. I would also say, in terms of what is next for Black Girl Ambition, I am looking forward to in-person curated community experiences. I am manifesting and speaking this into existence, Grace. So we've got, listen, right? We've got the digital experiences, so to speak, with the podcast and those conversations. But I really want to focus on in-person community experiences as well. So I am speaking into existence some sponsors that will support that. I'm also, looking forward to corporate workshops, speaking engagements where I share my expertise on ambition and leadership and culture and corporate strategy. So that's what is next for Black Girl Ambition, right? Some of that's immediate, some of that's long term, but you can support me by following along on my social media handles at BLKGirl Ambition across IG and LinkedIn, and would love to have you as part of the community. Thanks.
Amazing. Thank you so much. So listening to Niya, I'm reminded that our stories are not just personal, they're political, they're cultural, and they're powerful tools for change. So every time we speak up, we create a path for someone else to follow. So whether you lead a team, a movement, or your own journey, please remember, silence might feel safe, but it rarely sparks transformation. Your story matters, sis. Tell it, and tell it loudly enough that the right people can't ignore it. Niya, thank you so much for joining me today and for being such an inspiration to so many, including me. Your podcast makes my podcast better, so thank you for being you. I've really, really enjoyed having you.
Thank you so much, Grace. I really enjoyed being here.
If you've listened this far, you already know. Inclusion isn't a statement on a website. It's the choices we make every day in rooms where no one's watching. Season 2 of the Organisational Inclusionist is my invitation to you to listen harder, to act braver, to see the person in front of you fully, and to be willing to change because of it. We're not here to tick boxes. We're here to rewrite the way organisations think, feel, and treat people. Because when inclusion becomes the culture, not the initiative, everyone rises.